Here we're going to look at the answer to the pasta length estimation question. I'm going to give away 2 prizes of £1.41, which is an approximation of the square root of 2. Click the link in the description to see a video explaining why that's such an important number. 2 prizes because one is for the closest estimation, which is a good skill to be able to intuit the lengths of things, but also another one for the best method, because on this occasion, some really good mathematical methods didn't result in the correct answer simply because people had not estimated the right dimensions for my video. And my video was quite ambiguous in that respect, so it wasn't really their fault. But I want to reward people who've come up with a very valid mathematical method. I actually want to share that method with you. Quite a few people had this idea. So just look at these 2 cuboids. This first one here is going to represent the big, thick block of pasta. And the second one is the same pasta after it has been rolled out. So the key thing to notice is that the volumes of these, the amounts of pasta, doesn't change between the 2. It's just the lengths that change. So if we put on some lengths here, let's say for this cuboid here, we're going to say that that one there has got a 4 centimeter height. Let's just say it is 5 centimeters length there, and this length here is going to be 2 centimeters. Now on the second cuboid, we have exactly the same volume, but the lengths have changed a little bit. Let's say this length here actually is going to stay the same. Let's say that's going to be 2 centimeters as well. On the pasta video, I said that the width was going to remain as 10 centimeters between the 2 pieces. So that's kind of the same deal there. Let's say that the height here has gone from 4 down to 2 centimeters. So it's reduced in height by half. Obviously, pasta is a lot thinner than 2 centimeters. This is just an example. So the bit of maths that people are using is this. The volume of the first one is given by doing length times width times height, the 3 dimensions, and in this case that's going to be 4 times 5 is 20 times 2 is 40 centimeters cubed. The volume for the second cuboid is exactly the same. So it's going to be an answer of 40 centimeters cubed. We've already got 2 lengths. We've got the 2 and the other 2, but we don't know what the last one is going to be. And that's going to be the answer to our question. What is this mystery length? Well, it has to make 40. So 2 times 2 is 4, times something is 40. It must therefore be 10 centimeters. Another way of seeing this as well is that what's changed and what hasn't. Well, 2 and 2 are the same. The height has become half the size, so to compensate for that, the length is going to have to be double. So going from 4 to 2 is halving, therefore the other side has got to double, 5 to 10, to compensate because it's the same amount of pasta. So either way, you get an answer of 10. Let's go and have a look at what happened with the pasta itself though. So the answer was actually about 85 centimeters. So there's a picture of it being measured out there. So pretty long, like not quite a meter, but nearly. Let's just go through some of these guesses, and I'm going to look forward to seeing the most interesting, creative, and let's be honest, the thing I'm really looking forward to are the slightly off-the-wall answers. I wonder if we're going to get any of those. Well, start with the year 7s. So Cleo's guess of 55, pretty close actually. Aaron 50 as well. Ben's 30 centimeters from Ben seems like it's a bit off, but actually Ben's was one of the methods that I'm talking about above. I was very impressed with this. This was the best year 7 answer, I thought. It's basically saying that because the pasta became 1/5 as thick, it would have to get 5 times longer. That is exactly right. It's just that the measurements he's used are slightly off. It wasn't really 6 centimeters deep and 1 centimeter thick. It was actually a bit more than 1 centimeter thick. It was more like 2. So it's not that it's become a 5th. It was more like it was a 10th. So you should have maybe times by 10 rather than by 5. He'd have got quite close with that. But the method was really good. He was doing basically what I just did with the cuboids. Maddie 50, pretty good. Fred 25, yeah, it's not quite enough there. Candy's 20 again. Josh 75 centimeters. Now this is actually the closest guess, but he says I don't know as his explanation there, which I think he could have done a bit better than that. So Evan 50 as well. Harry also says 75 with a bit more explanation for why he thinks that, talking about how it's going to change every time it goes through the roller. And he's right, it doubles, then maybe it gets a bit bigger by a third and so on. So I'm actually going to give one of the prizes to Harry for the closest guess there, 75 centimetres. And Josh, yeah, you were right, but you said you didn't know. So if I've got to choose between you two, I'm going to pick this one here with a bit more confidence. 20 centimetres, Ellie, not enough. Lockie also 25, not enough. Joanna 45, a bit closer. Nicola always going with the range of answers. Nicola, which I don't like. Give me a specific number next time. Toby 1.12 metres, yeah, not too far away actually. Ben 50, a little bit short. Charlie 200, and a bit too much in the end. 15 centimetres, not very much at all actually. That was barely any bigger, so we need a bit more than 15 centimetres there. Greg 153. A little bit too much, but the reasoning was fairly sensible there as well. Going on to the year 10s, I dread to think what we're going to see here. So he's at 56, a number I like. I mean, it's good to have favourite numbers. I'd be interested to hear why you like that number so much. 56, it doesn't seem that important to me, but maybe you can explain that. Not quite correct, but not far off. Dom, 3 minutes long. He says he's been given the answer for free by me on YouTube. I think I specifically told him that was not the answer. So I'm not sure what he thinks this is the answer to. 3 minutes, maybe 3 minutes cooking time for pasta. I'd probably cook it for a bit less if I'm honest with you, but we'll skip past that. Ada is a professional pasta maker who graduated from Papa Louis Pastaria. I can speak a bit of Italian and I don't know what that word means, but I assume it's some sort of pasta school that you've been to. 28 centimetres long, you need to go back to school because that is not correct. 25 centimetres, because how thin you want it. Well, true enough, but we want it sort of pasta thinness, so you should know what that is, I think. 40 centimetres jars, not far away, said 28. Now, Sydney's answer here was one of the ones that I was describing above. This is a very, very good answer. You can see she's talking about finding the initial volume, which she's got there is 225, and then essentially doing what Ben's done above, actually, which is to notice that it's going from a width of 1.5 to 0.1. Now, that's the problem with this answer. It's slightly off in the initial dimensions that were chosen. 10 centimetres by 15, not quite 15. It was actually more like 10 by 8. So your answer here is about twice as big as it should be. And you can see from her number there, the 225, that actually that was the case. So 225 centimetres long there. It was more like half that, but the method is good. She was using the method as up above. Hayden has gone a step further and done a very similar thing, but he's tried to estimate it as a cylinder by using the surface area of this circular part here, which is a pretty good idea. It's not quite a circle, so this number is a little bit off, but again, it's a good idea. If you had the opportunity to measure it properly, this would have worked very nicely. I'm going to give the other method prize to Hayden in this case. Could have given to Sydney as well, actually, but I like Hayden's use of the circle. It gets a bit closer than the cylinder. His answer is quite far away. You can see it's gone for 417 there. And again, it's just because he's chosen the wrong dimensions to estimate with. He's got some pictures here and he had annotated these. They've actually disappeared from my video here, but he had got some lengths to annotate them. And basically his mistake is, you can see here, he thought the thickness was 10 over 3, so about 3.3 centimetres. It wasn't quite that much. He's actually estimated the thickness by about 2 times extra. So if he'd halved that, he'd got pretty close. It's a great method though. I like that a lot. Maddie 110, pretty good guess. Toby Lawrence 1.15. He's a wild guess that I'm sure is far from correct. Well, you're correct about that, Toby. It is quite far away. 1.2 metres because your mum reckons it'll be 1.2, 120 centimetres. I mean, it's as good a reason as any, I suppose. Not far away, Ruby's mum. 35 centimetres, Luna, a bit too short. Cat 7.5 times 18 centimetres because BBC Recipe said so. Well, I'm not sure exactly what this means. Do I have to work this out myself? Is this an unfinished calculation here? BBC Recipe is very good though. I did actually get the pasta recipe from there, so I recommend going onto there if you want to do some cooking. I like Toby Postlethwaite's answer here. He's doing a very similar thing as above. He's got a formula for the volumes and he's estimating it as a cuboid thing. What I really like about this is the use of subscript. I always think that in maths, if something's got a subscript, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So he's got these like area 1 and area 2 for the areas of the, no, sorry, for the lengths he's got here. So I misread that. The lengths of the first bit of pasta and the second bit of pasta. Whenever I see subscripts, I think there's some good maths there. So that's a nice use there. And this formula is actually exactly correct. He's managed to rearrange the formula to work out what the length of the second piece of pasta would be in terms of the first length, the first width, and the second length, which is the information we've got. Again, the numbers he's using are slightly off, which is not really his fault because you can't completely see it from the video. So this 10 centimeters here isn't quite right. That 10 centimeters is, but this one, it wasn't quite that much. It was more like sort of 6, 7. So that would have been a closer answer. But the method is great, and I like the use of the formula. So good job on that as well. I'm not so sure 6 centimeters from Emily, not far off. Pablo, some good working out and kind of getting to the right idea with dividing by 0.1, not far away. Alex says 26.3. I tested it. Can't really have tested it too accurately because I was quite far away. And the last one, we haven't had any crazy answers yet, but what is this? Will says, I'm no pasta connoisseur, however, I do know that I have one of those contraptions at home which I use to flatten out dry squid. Those squids can often get up to 20 centimeters, and since it's the same machine, I would assume that pasta is no different.
I'm done.